Hello everyone, I am going to talk about the performance of green hydrogen, focusing on the fuel cell improvement of the energy obtention process. We are Delfina Tonelli and David Regner, both students of electromechanical engineering.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about the problem that we are facing as a team regarding the hydrogen and fuel cells. First of all, nowadays the society is facing plenty of global issues regarding the environment, and people are every day getting more and more conscious about the fact that the world has to be taken care of in order for our species to survive. And the energy field is not an exception to this, so we must rely on clean renewable sources for this. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals report aims to ensure all of this by making the energy, or at least pushing the governments to make the energy more affordable, reliable, and sustainable, and hydrogen could be the solution for all of this.
This is why in our work we focus on the improvement of the fuel cells in order to reduce the operating cost. Now I will explain the map of the presentation, which is the organization of the presentation. Firstly, we are going to talk about the general aspect that include the functioning, the types of fuel cells, and the application. Secondly, we are going to talk about the polymer electrolyte membrane and solid oxide fuel cells that include the characteristic and the advantages and disadvantages of them. And then we are going to talk about the improvements that include the technical aspect that can be improved and the arrival at solutions.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the general aspects. As my partner already described, we're going to talk about the functioning, the types of fuel cells, and the applications of them. First of all, to understand what a fuel cell is, we need to first understand the electrolysis process. The electrolysis process is the reaction that occurs whenever a current passes through water. This water is modified by adding an electrolyte, which makes it conductive, and we also implement a catalyst in it, which makes the reaction to be accelerated. Whenever the current passes through the water, the water molecule splits, delivering the hydrogen to the cathode, and the oxygen goes to the anode. And that is how we obtain, and that is how we get the hydrogen. So actually the fuel cells are devices capable of doing the reverse whole process by, when we have the fuel, which is the hydrogen, it gets combined to the oxygen, and the result of this equation or this reaction is the electrical current, and we get only water as a result of this reaction, which is really positive for the environment. So now we can see the main structure of the fuel cells. As we can see in the picture, we have the anode, the cathode, and the electrons passing from the anode to the cathode. Now we're going to see the types of fuel cells. We kind of resume them in a table. There are 6 types of fuel cells that are currently in the market. The column on the left has some of the characteristics of them, and we are going to focus mainly on polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells and solid oxide fuel cells. Some of the differences of them are the applications, the operating temperature, the electrolyte used, the power they can deliver, the lifetime, and of course the investment cost. And they are used for many different things, but we decided to focus on them because, as you can see here in this table, they are the ones that are the most massively produced in the market nowadays, being PEM fuel cells, the one that are produced the most, and secondly, we get the SOFC fuel cells, which is solid oxide, as we previously said. They have, as an advantage, they have the most research backup investigation. They are the most versatile, and of course, as we said, they are the most massively produced. So that is very interesting because we get to have a lot of information about them, and we can propose many changes based on this information found.
I am now going to introduce the main advantages and disadvantages of the polymer electrolyte membrane and solid oxide fuel cells. In polymer electrolyte membrane or proton exchange membrane, the advantages are high power density, proven long operating life, and adoption by automakers. And the disadvantages are lack of carbon monoxide tolerance, water and heat management, and expensive catalysts. In solid oxide fuel cells, the advantages are high efficiency, internal fuel processing, and high grade waste heat. And the disadvantages are high operating temperature and high costs. And finally, by analyzing the disadvantages, we are going to mention possible improvement for both fuel cells. Now I am going to talk about the improvements. The improvements to be made for polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells are, firstly, catalyst cost reduction by developing new catalysts with different elements that can increase the performance and carbon monoxide tolerance. Secondly, cell temperature range control. Fuel cells have a better performance when operating between 0 to 80 Celsius degrees. And then new developments in the low temperature polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells. Low temperature fuel cells are the ones that operate below 100 Celsius degrees. The change here is to balance the highest performance achieved when temperatures are low with the mechanical resistance, which is better when temperatures are high. The improvements to be made for solid oxide fuel cells are, firstly, pore size optimizations in anodes. The pore size has to be exact for the best performance. Secondly, planar solid oxide fuel cell thermal management. Temperature must be uniform and be dissipated effectively in the fuel cells. And finally, new materials. They can allow us to obtain smaller, more robust and economic fuel cells.
So, as a conclusion of our work, we can say that the efficiency improvement of fuel cells will be key for making hydrogen the next source of power for future generations. The improvement of fuel cells will be based on the analysis of the advantages and disadvantages, and we will be focusing on the disadvantages so that we can deliver a better product. This is by making better temperature ranges and better materials and better catalysts.
By upgrading energy source, we will be ensuring our survival quality, our life and healthy planet. This is balancing energy source with environmental friendly policies.
So here are the references in which we were, on which we based our work. And this is all. Thank you, teachers, for your time and your support along this whole project. And hopefully see you soon. Thank you.